my 5 lessons will sound very simplistic, but they're culled out of so much data. And then I'll go back and show you the data on the macro. Let me just see how much time I have. And then I'll come back to the 5, right? Yay, I have time. All right, so lessons 1 to 3. Learn. You're here, so thank you. Learn. You know, with everything, with all the changes that's happening, oftentimes what we tend to do is to bury our heads in the sand. In fact, on social media, you'll see I'll always go back to social media. The majority of people who are in the center, who actually, the voices you hear the most on social media are the extremists. But the people in the middle, the people who are the connective tissue, you tend not to speak, right? So that leads to the second. So the first is, please don't bury your head in the sand, because this time is different. It's such an existential moment. At the Nobel lecture, I talked about how the last time a journalist received the Nobel Peace Prize was in 1935. He was given the awarding was in 1936. And he couldn't go because he was languishing in a Nazi concentration camp, Karl von Ossietzky. This is that kind of moment, right? Where, in looking at the data, I can see that we have probably until 2024, where by 2024, if nothing significant changes, enough illiberal leaders will be democratically elected to change the geopolitical power balance. The end of democracy, 2024, right? So, we'll go over this. Let me keep going. I went too far. Speak, please. You know, this is a week since Salman Rushdie was here in front of you. The sacrifices he made to speak, the fact that I could go to jail for the rest of my life because I refused to stop speaking. Speak, because silence is consent, right? And speaking doesn't mean punching. Speaking means speak. When you see something in your area of influence that is right or wrong, speak. My second lesson. The third lesson is critical for me. You know, I normally talk in front of graduates, you know, and I always say, you know, you draw the line. And you do it before you have any vested interest. You do it early, when you're young. This is the other thing I like about Chautauqua. Intergenerational, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. So draw the line, where on this side you're good, and when you cross it, you're evil. You have to make it that clear, because the rest of our lives is about rationalizing, perhaps crossing that line, right? Power, money. So draw the line and do it when you have no vested interest. Do it when you know what's right and wrong. That leads to the values, right? I grew up in Toms River, New Jersey. I was an immigrant kid who landed one day in the United States, and I think I loved America more than Americans. Well, that's the other weird thing about the Philippines. Filipinos love America more than Americans. This was a Pew Global Attitude Survey, 94%. It's very strange. Anyway, so values, the values that we hold dear. And I won't go over them, they're in the book. But what I said is that your courage, our individual courage, will determine the fate of humanity. The next, up until, I have 2 more. Fourth, trust. Why is that important? Well, we're here because we trust each other. Your community is based on trust, right? Who was it who said that, with trust in the room, everything is possible? Without trust, nothing is possible. George Shultz, at 100 years old, he had said this, right? The other reason why I say trust is because that's what social media has broken down, right? Social media has divided, has polarized, and radicalized. So, and you'll see when I show you, it's about facts. Just where does that area of shared reality sit? It's where we agree on the facts. We're in an amphitheater. That's a fact, right? So the facts create our shared reality. Then we can debate. Again, I go back to social media. Social media is a thinking fast platform. It's emotional. But this process of learning, of democracy, is a thinking slow process. So if you feel anger or hate, or if you feel us against them, this very basic, push it aside and come back to that shared reality. The us against them, we can talk about that at the tail end of it, because I think that's our biggest problem right now. It's what happened in Nazi Germany, and it is coming back with a force, empowered, enabled by social media. Finally, the last one, and I'm not really a religious person, but I do believe in God. If I had my druthers, I maybe would have been Buddhist. But anyway, enough about me. Very simple. Empathy. Every major world religion says this: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In the Nobel lecture, within the first 2 minutes, I talked about the bad, but I went right back to, we have to believe in the goodness of human nature. That's where our faith is, right? Because if we don't, what are we doing here? One person can only do so much, but a community, look at what you've done, right? That's the faith. It's a faith in someone else that they will be there for you. We can do this with our families. We do it with a small community, but at a time of COVID, of a pandemic, the country that doesn't have vaccines will have an impact on you. We're all connected. At a time of climate change and our world in peril, another existential problem, what happens everywhere else will impact you. All right, so this is the 5 that we have to have the courage, right? And your courage will determine our fate. Again, I go back to, let me go back to one more. Learn, speak, draw the line, your values. There is good, there is evil. Trust, and have faith.